The second edition of the Central Bank of Nigeria's RT200 Biannual Non-Oil Export Summit held in Lagos Tuesday, where the CBN Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, revealed that within the first 3 quarters of this year alone, non-oil exporters have so far repatriated about $5 billion into the country, higher than the $3.2 billion repatriated last year. Also, the CBN Governor has outlined the policy thrust for the new year at the CBN Annual Bankers Dinner last Friday, expressing optimism that the short-term outlook of the Nigerian economy remains good. That's comforting, isn't it? And President Muhammadu Buhari, during the maiden edition of the 2002 International Financial Inclusion Conference last Thursday in Abuja, unveiled 5 key national policy assets of the Central Bank of Nigeria to drive financial inclusion and strengthen economic growth within the country. All the details after this message. Stay tuned.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has announced the introduction of a new series of 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira banknotes to be launched on December 15, 2022. These new banknotes will circulate side by side with the current 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira banknotes, which will cease to be legal tender on January 31, 2023. Banks are now open from Monday to Saturday to accept customers' deposits. So, hurry to your banks to deposit only 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira banknotes in your possession. To make it seamless, the CBN has suspended bank charges on all deposits made during this period, and there is no limit on how much an individual can deposit. Remember, the current 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira banknotes remain legal tender until January 31, 2023. Do not reject it, but ensure the banknotes get to your bank before the deadline of January 31, 2023. The Naira is our national pride. Let's embrace the new currency. This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN.
Welcome back. Nigeria, over the years, has been confronted with many challenges made worse by growing internal and external factors. One major challenge being the overdependence on crude oil as a main source of foreign exchange earnings, a source largely distorted by the dynamics of production and market prices. To address these challenges, the Central Bank of Nigeria has been implementing several non-conventional, supportive and complementary macroeconomic policy actions towards restoring the economy to its growth trajectory. One of such actions is the collaboration between the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Bankers Committee, which in February produced a splendid idea of the RT200 FX program aimed at tackling the challenge of a significant decline in foreign exchange flows into the country. The target is to raise $200 billion in foreign exchange earnings over the next 3 to 5 years, strictly from non-oil exports. In his keynote speech at this second edition of the biannual RT200 Non-Oil Export Summit, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, cited that many developing nations have identified export as a leading priority for their indigenous firms and that several countries have developed export-oriented strategies and extensive assistance programs to encourage export expansion. In keeping with the theme of the gathering, RT200 Non-Oil Exports Program, The Journey So Far, Mr. Emefiele highlighted what the collaborative efforts by all stakeholders in the export value chain have been able to achieve since the inception of the program, as well as areas for further improvements.
In terms of process and infrastructure for improving trade performance, we have located some achievements in automation and digitization of our trade processes. For instance, as of today, SUNCAP and NAFDAC certificates and marine insurance certificates are automated and fully integrated with our trade monitoring system. In addition, we are working with Quarantine Service to integrate their permits and certificates into our system, and very soon NPA's e-call-up system will also be integrated. Some other enhancement measures have also been done with eNXP, including integration with SGD and the development of the PIA portal aimed at digitization of the process of issuing clean certificate of inspection, CCIs, by PIAs and ease of scheduling of inspection by exporters. A total of $4.987 billion have been repatriated into the country by non-oil exporters, higher than $4.190 billion repatriated in the whole of 2021. The CBN has also paid out about 81 billion naira in rebate to hardworking Nigerian exporters. I want to assure you all that the CBN is committed to strengthening and expanding foreign exchange supply into the market. You are all important in this national clarion call of expanding the supply of foreign exchange to our economy. For exporters flying the flag of Nigeria in the international market, the Bankers Committee and the CBN stands ready to partner with you to achieve your goals. You can benefit from the many financing programs introduced by the CBN through your bank to grow your businesses. Therefore, I call on not just those of you in this gathering this morning, but also those that may be listening to us to candidly interact and make constructive and innovative suggestions towards exploring the non-oil export sector as a more sustainable means of increasing financial flows into our economy and generating employment to support the growth of our country. There is no time like now to start working in synergy for the good of our nation. We must coordinate and collaborate on policies to improve the economic activities in the non-oil export sector.
For the host governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, using public-private partnership model for infrastructure development as major driver of the deliverables in the state to facilitate non-oil export has been of utmost importance.
We're happy that within the first tenure of our government in the last three and a half years, we were able to start and complete the Lekki Deep Sea Port. This is a clear testimony of what the mind of the private sector working with a forward-looking public sector government can do. We signed, an export. We signed an export loan with them in 2019, and they did promise that in 2.5 years they will complete the port. Even with the 1 year of COVID, we were able to deliver on budget and on time. I'm happy to announce that the Lekki Deep Sea Port has been completed fully. We're just waiting to receive the first shipments of vessels, that will start the commercial transaction. And Mr. President had assured us that in the month of December, that port must go commercial and must start, to work, in earnest. And so for us, it's not just about the port. I think the governor of CBN have also talked about it. What level of infrastructure do we need to provide for it? I'm glad to also mention that we've done the first phase of the 19-kilometer, 6 lanes highway. You are looking at me and I'm saying it, 6-lane highway. From a 2-lane run-down road, we've turned into 6-lane highway, rigid pavement. We have completed the phase 1 of it. Meaning from Eleko Junction, you make a right turn and you go all the way to Epe and you can get on, because we've also done the express road to Ijebu-Ode. Ogun State have also done their own bit. And so you can hit the Shagamu-Benin express route from the Lekki port in less than 30 to 40 minutes if you take that whole axis. So infrastructure using the PPP model had started. And so I'm happy to also mention, and we did mention at our Hengbeti Summit, that we have given approval for the Badagry Deep Sea Port as well. The groundbreaking ceremony also will happen before the end of this year. We're waiting for Mr. President also, because they are also, very, very serious about it. And so you can see competition also happening, right? On the western part, we will have the Badagry Deep Sea Port. On the eastern side, we'll have the Lekki Deep Sea Port. And of course, the Tinkan Port is right in the middle of it. So choices are being created, opportunities are being created, and we do not have excuses again as exporters that we cannot accept or access our port.
The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Otumba Niyi Adebayo, expressed the readiness of the ministry to collaborate with the Apex Bank to assist exporters in their trade. He referred to how the COVID-19 pandemic aftermath and the Russia-Ukraine war he illuminated the importance of having resilient alternatives when traditional supply chains are unable to serve off-taker needs, opening up opportunities for a country like Nigeria to step up and fill the gap.
One of the critical things we need to do is to ensure that practitioners in the non-oil space adhere to global best practice and their products are accepted without any rejections by the international markets. Awareness about the steps that need to be taken for this to be achieved must be shared with all stakeholders to ensure success is sustainable. To this end, we have commenced the implementation of the Nigeria National Quality Policy, which is aimed at putting in place the necessary regulatory framework, institutions, and physical infrastructure to ensure that Nigeria's products meet global standards. As you are also aware, Nigeria is a signatory to the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, and this means that there is an increased market access for products, and you can export to African countries at lower tariffs. Furthermore, the federal government operates an export expansion grant program which supports and incentivizes exporters by giving back up to 15% of their annual export value. And this is done in form of issuance of a certificate which, when presented, can be used to settle taxes, buy federal government bonds, and settle some credits. Also, I have some good news for exporters. In 2018, President Buhari and I think what's her name? Prime Minister May, Theresa May of the UK, signed a memorandum of agreement for the establishment of the UK-Nigeria Economic Development Forum. Yesterday we held our 8th edition of that meeting, and which was the final meeting. And because of the successes that have been achieved as a result of the bilateral discussions that we'll be having, it was decided that the Economic Development Forum should transition into an enhanced trade and investment partnership agreement. And not only that, as a result of the discussions we'll be having, in August of this year, the UK launched its new Developing Countries Trading Scheme. And under that scheme, it will give preference to Nigerian goods into the UK. And given that 99% of the current goods exports amounting to £1.6 billion per year will now be eligible for duty-free and quota-free access into the UK.
A short documentary on the current state of non-oil export in Nigeria was included in the first part of the summit, while paper presentations and panel discussions around the theme of the summit formed the latter part. There was also a tour of the exhibition stands where the CBN governor and other dignitaries engaged the non-oil exporters who showcased their products.
Nigeria is a rich nation of green land, rich resources, countless crops and commodities sufficient to feed and provide a means of livelihood for her teeming population. Chin up, Nigeria, the giant of Africa. Exciting times are here. We can be self-reliant and grow our economy if we work together to explore our potential. It takes a whole nation. Let us get involved. Buy Nigerian to grow Nigeria.
Thanks for staying tuned. You're watching From the CBN, a weekly program that brings to you reports and expert analysis of the actions, policies, events, and economic initiatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. You will begin to carry a new bank card in your wallet from New Year because to further strengthen the payment system while conserving foreign exchange, the Central Bank of Nigeria is working with the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, NIBSS, to launch the National Domestic Card Scheme next month on January the 16th, 2023. CBN Governor Mr. Godwin Emefiele announced this at the 57th Annual Bankers Dinner of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, which held at the Hotel and Suites, Lagos. The scheme is expected to lower operating costs for banks incurring huge charges for foreign card schemes.
It will also reduce the huge foreign exchange commitments associated with operating foreign card schemes. The scheme is expected to commence on 16th of January 2023. With this, Nigeria will join a growing list of EMDs, including India, Turkey, China, and Brazil, that have launched their own domestic card schemes. This landmark initiative shall position Nigeria as the first African country to introduce a domestic card scheme that combines a fully domestic infrastructure with international interoperability.
The CBN governor said an analysis of recovery efforts and current outcomes suggests that the Nigerian economy and its banking system has fared comparably well when juxtaposed with peers.
Like many emerging market and developing economies, Nigeria's GDP growth rate has so far remained positive, even as global conditions plunge deeper into stormy waters. Inflation rates among comparator economies have, however, soared in consonance with global trends. And a quick comparison of the rates, for instance, for September 2022, indicates that Nigeria's inflation at 20.77% is high, but not among the worst in the world. We have seen hyperinflations above 80% in Turkey and Argentina. Ghana and Ethiopia also had rates of above 30%.
On what to expect in the new year, Mr. Emefiele said monetary policy stance will remain focused on the objectives of price, monetary and exchange rate stability, and accordingly, policy stance will remain tight to curtail inflation pressure, regulate capital flows, and buoy the naira-dollar exchange rate.
We will continue the current tight monetary policy stance in the near term, especially in view of rising inflation expectations and exchange market pressures. Although we will act to appropriately adjust the policy rate in line with unfolding conditions and outlooks.
Now to the maiden edition of the two-day International Financial Inclusion Conference, which held at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja, last Thursday and Friday, where President Muhammadu Buhari, represented by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Malam Muhammad Musa Bello, unveiled 5 key national policy assets of the Central Bank of Nigeria to drive financial inclusion and strengthen economic growth. The 5 strategic policy documents are the revised National Financial Inclusion Strategy 3.0, which spearheads the country's drive towards achieving a 95% financial inclusion target by the year 2024. The National FinTech Strategy, which provides demand and supply side recommendations to drive the uptake and the usage of fintechs in Nigeria. The National Strategy, Leveraging Agent Networks for Women's Financial Inclusion, which is an offshoot of the Framework for Advancing Women's Financial Inclusion. The Payment System Vision 2025, which builds on the legacy and achievement of the PSV 2020, and the Nigeria Financial Services Maps. President Buhari said his administration understands the impact of financial inclusion on economic growth and development, and as such has provided the enabling policy environment for financial inclusion initiatives to yield expected results.
For instance, in the year 2019, I launched the micro pension policy, within which was aimed at deepening pension penetration among the MSMEs and the informal economy generally. We also initiated policies for microinsurance and collective investment. These initiatives are geared towards providing access to a wide range of financial products and services to the underserved, in line with our national financial inclusion objective.
Earlier in our paper presentation on leveraging policy for financial inclusion in Nigeria, CBN Deputy Governor, Financial System Stability, Mrs. Aisha Hamad, reviewed the evolution of financial inclusion strategy in Nigeria, stressing that financial inclusion is achieved when adult Nigerians have easy access to a broad range of formal financial services that meet their needs at an affordable cost.
We went round the innovation labs earlier with the ministers and the governor, and the sheer diversity in terms of the solutions. Some of them were looking at rural areas, some of them were looking at payments and POS, some were looking at women. There was an exhibitor from Egypt that's looking at gathering data from POS use. All of that reflect just what's possible. And the next step for us is to deepen our collaboration. Of course, we need to get alignment. We need to engage, continue to engage the ecosystem, get alignment, but deepen our collaboration to ensure that all of these creative solutions, these innovative digital solutions are scaled for success. It is only as good as how it impacts people. We continue to encourage innovators to also include financial inclusion as one of their goals, because we know that when everyone's included, the ecosystem is better for it, the companies are better for it, the country is better for it, and more importantly, the citizens are better for it.
A strategic collaboration between the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Central Bank of Egypt was also announced at the conference. The two central banks have established a Nigeria-Egypt fintech bridge.
I think the advent of technology innovation has crossed borders. We're seeing a lot of innovative solutions that are not restricted within countries. We're seeing fintechs and other payment companies expanding across Africa and across jurisdictions. And it is important that regulators and policymakers as well adapt to that change. And that is what this collaboration with Central Bank of Egypt is all about. But it didn't start from just fintech. It started out from creating a collaborative platform that started at Bellagio in Italy 2 years ago, I believe. And it was just a simple meeting of some of the key economies. I think it was Egypt, Nigeria, there was Indonesia, there was Estonia, and China. And after those discussions, we saw that it was important to keep up the regulatory engagement, and that is what has birthed this fintech bridge. So we'll be sharing information, we'll be sharing capabilities, we'll be cross-referencing and providing opportunities in our corresponding markets. We have some showcase companies from Egypt that are showcasing on the Innovation Lab. This is the beginning of our collaboration. I'm very, very proud about it and look forward to what it will do.
The two-day 2002 International Financial Inclusion Conference had in physical and virtual attendance several delegates and participants from across 78 countries.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has announced the introduction of a new series of 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira banknotes to be launched on December 15, 2022. These new banknotes will circulate side by side with the current 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira banknote, which will cease to be legal tender on January 31, 2023. Banks are now open from Monday to Saturday to accept customers' deposits. So, hurry to your banks to deposit only 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira banknotes in your possession. To make it seamless, the CBN has suspended bank charges on all deposits made during this period, and there is no limit on how much an individual can deposit. Remember, the current 200 Naira, 500 Naira and 1000 Naira banknotes remain legal tender until January 31, 2023. Do not reject it, but ensure the banknotes get to your bank before the deadline of January 31, 2023. The Naira is our national pride. Let's embrace the new currency. This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN.
That's the package from the CBN this week. Thank you for watching. Report on reserved banking issues to the CBN Consumer Protection Department using the email cpd@cbn.gov.ng. Attach relevant documents. Call the CBN Contact Center on the phone line +234 700 2255 226. Local call rates may apply. Write to us through the email address fromthecbn@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram and Twitter for updates and to watch uploaded episodes of the program. We invite you to join us again next time. I'm Muliyemi Dada. Stay safe. Bye for now.